Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Damme, and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And today I want to tell you all about the new Netflix original movie, I Am Mother. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, and I'll start right off the bat by just telling you that I liked it. I think it is one of the better Netflix original movies I've seen ever. I'm not saying it's the best, it definitely is not, but it might be in a top 10 for sure. I think it was really pretty good. For starters, this was directed by Grant Suped. This is his first feature film. The writer on this, it was also their first feature film, and I think we'll be seeing more from them, maybe together, maybe separate, but this movie is definitely good enough that for a first feature, we're going to see more out of that director, and I think he did a good job. Similarly, the main actress, Clara Rugaard, I think. It's the first time I've ever seen her. She did a great job, mainly because there was a lot of heavy lifting with this movie. She is on screen in almost every shot. She's alone for a lot of the movie, and she did a very good job, especially for a young actress. She carried this movie really well. Hilary Swank is always good, and the acting in this movie was good enough. There was no problems with it. It's not an acting masterpiece, but it works. And the droid, the robot in this, was very convincing. It was actually voiced by Rose Byrne, who I always liked. She did a good job. She's just creepy enough. And sort of the relationship with this robot worked really well as well. Just based on what you know from the trailers for this, it's about a young girl who's raised by a robot. Right on the onset, this concept is a little bit too bleak. Not in the sense that it's too bleak for me, but it's too bleak to get really invested in the characters. However, it works. Not as well as I would like a movie like this to work, but they made something that's inherently too bleak to invest in, just from the concept. They made it work. It reminded me of a couple of movies. One was Passengers with Jennifer Lawrence. I like this one better. Passengers has a lot more effects. It's a bigger movie, but this I Am Mother worked better than Passengers. It also had hints of Ex Machina, which I love. I think that movie is almost a masterpiece. I Am Mother is not as good, but it lives somewhere in between those two. So I think if you like both of those, you are going to like I Am Mother. And the only other similarity I'll make is Tao, which is another Netflix original from last year. I think this is far superior. The only reason I'm comparing the two is because you get a young girl who is beholden to an AI somewhat. Both the stories vary. They take place in different situations. But I thought this was far superior to Tao. To me, this is one that could have easily come out in theaters and been at least somewhat successful. Tao is definitely a made-for-TV movie. It's limited in how well it works, and I Am Mother works a lot better in a lot other ways. It's much more thought-provoking, and it explores its themes a lot better than Tao did. And without getting too heavy into the themes, maybe I'll do a full explanation video of this movie. But again, I don't want to ruin anything, but I Am Mother does explore its themes thoroughly, meaning it really sort of it doesn't explain them, which I think is great, but it does flesh out concepts and ideas and explores them pretty deeply in a way that a lot of sort of these quote-unquote made-for-TV sci-fi movies don't do. They kind of are more surface level, and I thought I Am Mother really dug deep on some pretty sensitive issues, and there are some major decisions characters in this movie have to make that severely affect the outcome, and they weigh really heavy, and I think that worked really well. I'm just coming off my initial viewing, but I feel like it was building up towards more than what I got. I feel like there could have been more in the conclusion. However, there might be more to the conclusion of this story than I am initially perceiving. So if I do a full explanation video, I'll be sure to explore the ending of this movie as well. So I recommend a lot of sci-fi movies that you can watch on Netflix and other streaming platforms on this channel. By the way, if you're new here, click that subscribe button and be sure to click the little bell icon so you get notifications when I put out new videos like this one or my top 10 list. But because I recommend so many sci-fi movies, how does this one measure up? I think it is a solid entry into the sci-fi genre. In fact, I feel like this story could have easily taken place in the same universe as some other just classic sci-fi movies. I don't want to say which ones because it will cause some spoilers, but I will say this one ended up being a little bit more epic than I had anticipated, and it sort of it's easily comparable to some really good sci-fi movies. So that wraps it up for this review. I would love to talk more about the themes, but I'm at risk of spoiling things if I do that. So I'm going to save that for either another video or the podcast. There's a link to the podcast in the description. So go over and subscribe over there. That way you can catch that spoiler review if I decide to do it over there. But I'm going to keep making reviews on Netflix originals just like this one as long as you keep watching them. But thanks for checking this one out, and you will see me on the next one. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so a number of ways. You can become a Patreon supporter like one of these fine people. The Patreon is growing. It's a really great way to support the channel, especially with YouTube attacking creators so much. My latest upload just automatically demonetized because YouTube doesn't know how to handle controversy whatsoever. Doesn't matter that my work is not controversial. They just do it to everybody. So everybody here that supports me on Patreon contributes to that. So thank them in the comments section at the very least. But that wraps it up. Like I said, stay tuned. I got some stuff coming up, including a list of Netflix originals, and I know I keep promising the Hulu binge watch. I just got to get around to having like 24 hours to watch all of those Hulu movies, but stay tuned, it's coming, I promise.